Welcome to Build Your Maverick Business, the podcast for underdog, outlier, and renegade entrepreneurs. Brought to you by Strange Creative Studio. If you dream of going off on your own and launching your rebel empire, but don't know where to start, you're in the right place. We'll teach you how to use mindset, branding, and practical advice to build a killer business and transform your world. And now, here's your host, founder of Strange, Alex Pitt.
Hey, welcome back. Hope you've had a wonderful week. I hope my UK listeners aren't melting. You know me, I'm very British and I love to whinge about the weather. And it's too hot. It's too hot. I have the complexion of a mini milk ice cream and I am melting like a motherfucker right now. Boxed myself into the flat, fan in my hand, sheen on my forehead. Not okay, hun. That's the bad news anyway. The good news is I have a wonderful treat coming for you soon. I did something I've not done in a very long time, and that is I interviewed a guest for the podcast. So that happened yesterday. I had a wonderful chat with a very, very talented individual who I'm not going to mention right now because I don't know how long it's going to take to come out. Got to edit that shit first. Yeah, it was an absolutely fantastic chat. I really do need to get some more guests on this podcast for you because there are some very fucking cool people out there. So watch this space. That is coming soon. Speaking of watching things, tenuous link, I found my random wave of inspiration for this podcast this week from a show that I've recently rewatched. And that show is Desperate Housewives. Now I think about it, I think I already managed to get the start of a podcast out of Desperate Housewives, or maybe I planned to and I didn't actually get round to it. But what a fucking show! If you've never seen it, just give it a go. It's just wonderful. Very easy watch. You can play on your phone the whole time you're watching it. No drama. But yeah, if you've never seen it, Desperate Housewives does what it says on the tin. There's a bunch of women who live in the suburbs. They don't all do the same thing. They're very different characters. For the purposes of today, I'm going to talk about the absolute goddess that is Gabby, Eva Longoria. Oh my God, what a queen. So she, in my opinion, is one of the most iconic characters, right? She is, again, if you've not seen it, a very spoilt ex-model who relies on her wealthy husband's income to keep her in designer clothes, Pilates classes, and house staff that she can either talk to like shit or have an affair with. Don't get me wrong, there is a lot of character development throughout the series, so please don't think that I'm being mean. That's just how it starts off, right? That's very much her thing. She's a bit spoiled, bit stereotypical, trophy wife, if you like. So without spoiling too much, if you haven't seen Desperate Housewives, come on, keep up. But yeah, without spoiling too much, shit goes down and they lose a lot of money. And suddenly, Gabby has to go back to work. Now, all she's ever known before she became a wife, a kept woman, is modelling. Right, she used to hang out in New York, she used to go to all the parties, but now they live in the suburbs. And she's not 18 years old anymore, and that industry is fucking cruel. So she can't really pick that back up. She tries, doesn't really work out for her. She freaks out, and she's like, what the fuck do I do now? So long story short, she ends up working in a very high-end boutique because she knows designer fashion, having been obsessed with it for her own vanity's sake for many years. And her friends would go to her with any fashion-related questions, to borrow clothes, to ask what earrings will go with what shoes go with this, etc. So in the series finale, they flash forward to how everyone's life turns out. And Gabby had developed a personal shopping website. Then she got her own show on the Home Shopping Network. And then she bought a big mansion in California. So having started out as this kept woman, this kind of stereotype, if you like, she became very rich again. And she did it through hard work, through her own talents, through her own knowledge, and some business savvy that she learned along the way. Not by marrying into wealth, she fucking did it herself. And you love to see it, right? You love to see it. So I know that it's a TV show, my darlings. I know that I do this a lot. I know that I try and draw business advice from fictional scenarios and popular culture. But I'm just trying to illustrate a point, and that point is that I truly believe that there is a business for everyone. Now, I must reiterate, as I've said in previous podcast episodes, there are some people who are not destined to start a business because they don't fucking want to and it's not for them. I'm not saying that everyone should do it. However, anyone who likes the idea, who is drawn towards the idea of running a business, but they don't know what the fuck they do, there is absolutely a business for anyone who wants to start one. So like I say, I'm basing the intro to this episode on fictional characters. So if you're not convinced by that, who'd blame you for a start? But start with this little thought seed. Start with this little question to ask yourself if you're not sure if there is a business out there for you. Or if you're already running a business and you kind of fucking hate it and you wonder if there's anything else you could do which you would enjoy more and be really, really good at. And I have to say, I'm going to have to use a phrase in a minute that makes me go really funny when I have to say it. But for the purposes of this episode, I'm going to have to, begrudgingly. Right, so if you don't think that you have the knowledge, expertise, or know-how in any subject or in any industry to start a business, just think about this. What do people come to you for advice on? Has anyone ever asked you if they can pick your brains? Look, hate it. Hate that expression. Pick your brains is the most revolting expression in the English language as far as I'm concerned. It just makes me think about chimps picking bugs off each other's head and it's disgusting. However, like I say, for the purposes of this episode, it's worth throwing in there. So that's it, right? Has anyone ever come to you and said, I really need your advice on this thing? I've done it recently. A friend of mine who is very talented in loads of areas, but one of the things that I know that she's really good at is floristry, is flower arranging. I'm getting married at some point in the future. She was the first person that I thought of to say, Sophie, mate, can you help me out? I don't know how to do this, this and this with flowers. So she's the person that I would go to pick her brains when it comes to floristry and flower arranging. One of the reasons that I started this podcast in the first place was that people would come to me to ask me about business, not just about branding, not just about design, but about starting and running a business in general. Now, I wasn't an absolute pro and expert. I wasn't standing in front of my Lamborghini making millions of pounds, but I didn't need to be, right? Because I could still help people who were a few steps behind me. Now, I'm a huge fan of business strategist Lisa Johnson. I might have mentioned her on this podcast before. Massive fangirl for her. I remember being really struck with one piece of teaching that she gives. So she says that an expert is someone who knows the most about a subject in the average room. Okay, not the one who knows the most in an industry, not the one who would hold up against 50,000 other people. A person who knows the most about a subject in your average room. So if you think about it, and if you're really honest about it, I bet you could come up with a few things that people would come to you if they needed advice. And you don't need to have a huge accreditation in it. You don't need to have degrees, certificates on the wall. You just need to be able to help people. And if you can think about what people want your help with, then you can work out how to monetize it. You know what they say? If you're good at something, never do it for free. Unless, of course, you want to. All right, my loves, short and sweet for me this week. Have a think about it. What do people want to pick your brains on? Ugh. Have a think about it, and I'll catch you here next time.
Got an idea for a maverick business of your own? Learn how to build a powerful brand that will get people obsessed with our online program, not just a pretty logo. You'll learn a simple step-by-step framework that will kickstart your killer brand and help you find your raving fan base. Find out more today at strangecreativestudio.com.